All right, so New Balance sent over the brand new Fresh Foam X Hierro V9. I've been reviewing the shoe for I think the last 4 or 5 versions, but this is a Hierro V8 Gore-Tex version for comparison because I feel like they made some pretty major changes. First of all, big thank you to New Balance again for sending this pair over for me for review. It was by request. It's been a pair that I was very interested in seeing because I always love to see the latest and greatest versions. They are sponsoring this video as well, so thank you to New Balance for doing that. And if you guys are interested in helping support the channel, you can use the links in the description to buy the sneakers that you see here if you guys are interested in getting them. Now again, this is a Gore-Tex, this is a regular. The Gore-Tex version is 170. The new version of the V9 is 155. However, we don't have a Gore-Tex version yet of this shoe. We always do get one, usually later in the year. There are 3 major differences between these and the previous version, so I'll get into that in a second. But just my overall impressions straight out of the box, it's beefier, the midsole is way bigger. It sounds like there's a 38 mm and 42 mm in the back, meaning there's a 4 mm heel toe drop, which means you have a thick boy midsole from the heel and it continues all the way up to the front with a more thick boy midsole. I believe that's bigger than the previous, but I'll look at the stats next to each other. Similar to the previous pair, you have the toe protect across the toe box, which is very, very firm and very, very nice, tough, like fused on layer. And then you also have a little bit of that on the heel as well. I do like that toe guard has a second layer down and is a little bit textured, but it goes down a little bit more. So it's like a double fused layer, which is nice. That same sort of lining of that fused layer is actually the same sort of material that you have. It's textured again for the laces. Looks like you have an engineered mesh upper, and then you have a large N on the side that has embroidery around the logo. I like the texture of the N as well. It's kind of like a fun, like all-terrain like texture. You do have a semi-gusseted tongue, which is always a plus, and the tongue has a nice amount of padding here, perfect for the trails, and then you also have a nice amount of padding around the heel. I did also want to mention the toe protect on the medial side. It extends all the way down back here. So that's also really nice. It feels like if you're gonna tear this section right here on a shrub or something when you're running around out there on the rocks or something, this gives you that extra protection, and I think it's very functional. Speaking of functional, you do have a pull tab on the back, but this one is done differently, and I kind of dig the like off-centered style of this one. The midsole is crazy with the Fresh Foam X. It's actually pretty soft in most of the upper, but it is a dual density Fresh Foam X, which is something that I think is kind of cool. It's definitely needed when you have trails and stuff because you don't want something too wobbly, you don't want something too soft and squishy. It's a good mix between like soft on feet, like better than the previous version, definitely softer, more felt in the forefoot and in the heel, but not so crazy soft that you just have like too much cushioning. New Balance says the Fresh Foam X Hierro 9 offers ultimate reliability for adventurous terrain with technical features designed specifically for a trail runner. Dual density cushioning combines plush comfort for a more stable underfoot feel, features a revamped tread pattern and deeper 6 mm lugs for superior traction. A knit upper with a gusseted tongue is breathable while helping to protect against debris. It says they weigh 10.3 ounces and is best for trail running and all-day wear. Cushioning is soft, support is neutral, and the heel toe drop is 4 mm. I also did want to call out these are available in regular and wide versions, but I just get the regular versions for the Fresh Foam sneakers from New Balance. For the Fuel Cell line, I do get the wide versions. And also in this case, for me, the fit is true to size. 9.5 fits me perfectly fine. So a couple other changes over the V8. The V9 does weigh less, which is crazy because the traction lugs are bigger, but this actually does weigh less than the V8. I think that's primarily because there's actually a large cutout of rubber right here. I wonder how that's going to affect the longevity of this product because it does have exposed like foam down here. If you guys are coming from the future, leave a comment, let me know how this holds up. I feel like that's kind of a low impact zone because you do have sections on both sides that have the full traction. So I think that's probably a gap that they could afford to take. But I did want to call that out because of that. This does make this a lighter option at 10.3 ounces versus 11.1. So not only is the weight a major difference, the next one is quite noticeable, and that's the outsole traction. The traction is insane. So you have much, much bigger lugs on the new version. The version 8 has smaller traction nibs across the bottom of the foot. Maybe this one was not received as well, and so they kind of went backwards because the previous versions had little lugs on them as well, but this one has thicker lugs as far as I can tell than even like the V6 and the V7. So I like that they kind of make pivots and adjustments. Like sometimes you try things and they stick, and then you carry that forward to the next versions, and sometimes you make something and it's like, maybe, you know what, it's kind of blending in. It's not as much of a trail shoe, let's add more lugs to it and make it really have that trail sort of vibe. And I feel like they did a nice job like adjusting and making it back into this. Some people actually still might prefer this, but I know that some people will probably prefer the lugs. Leave a comment in which one you prefer, the older style or the newer lug traction. Again, personally, living in Oregon and trails and stuff, we can go through the city and literally just be in a crazy trail section, and this is perfect for that. So we mentioned the weight, we mentioned the traction on the bottom, but the other major difference is the dual density foam on the midsole. So the foam on the midsole is different. It's Fresh Foam X, Fresh Foam X. However, again, dual density on here, so it's softer on top and then firmer on the bottom. The Fresh Foam X on the V8 was pretty good. I would say that this one is softer than the previous because the stack height is bigger. And overall, I just feel like it feels better on feet. The foam stack height with the lugs being bigger, it's a fun experience underfoot because it feels well cushioned, but pretty balanced as well. So like you don't want it to be too soft, but you don't want it to be too firm either. So I feel like they did a great job integrating like a soft feel mixed with like a firmness and a well-balanced and a stable functional pair. But to answer the question, is it more comfortable than the previous? Yes, I would say more than the 5, 6, 7, and 8. This one definitely has the biggest stack and is the most comfortable out of all of them. But again, it's not overwhelmingly soft and squishy. It's just overall very comfortable. And again, this is just my experience from my feet and my body and stuff. Obviously, everybody's different. You know, I'm a little bit heavier. Somebody else might weigh half as much as me and have a super huge arc, and these feel totally different to them. So just pointing that out. There is also more forefoot cushioning in the V9 than there is in the V8. So there's actually a 4 mm drop in the V9. There's a 6 mm heel toe drop in the V8. So that means there's a little bit more in the forefoot of the V9, and it's definitely felt when you're walking around. And lastly, I think the upper, they did change a little bit as well. The reinforcement is done in the areas where it needs, but it is a little bit more mesh on the side panel. So you have a little bit more fused panels on at least the Gore-Tex version. On this version, there's a lot more mesh and stuff. So it could be a little bit more breathable, but ultimately I'm curious how the wear and tear will be because they removed a lot of the fused layers on the side panels, but they kept them in the high impact areas. So I feel like it's probably still gonna be really good, but it'll be interesting to see how they wear over a long period of time. Hey, post-edit update. I wanted to show you guys the regular version, not just the Gore-Tex version. It looks very, very similar, but you could see all of the fused layers on the upper are pretty much exactly like on the Gore-Tex version. So they did make a pretty big change by removing a lot of the fused layers. But leave a comment in the comment section, which one do you guys prefer, the newer upper or the one with the more fused layers on the previous version? I do really want a Gore-Tex version of these as well though. Like I said, if I have a choice between the regular and the Gore-Tex, I always go with the Gore-Tex versions just because I'm in Oregon and it's kind of crazy. But I do love the fact that they have Gore-Tex versions of the Hierros every year as well. I'm hoping they do the same this year. Even if the price is like $170, I'll definitely be getting a pair. Anyway, that's my overall thoughts on the Hierro V9. I think it's a nice upgraded, different version of the Hierro that we've seen. I love that they added extra ruggedness, but for less weight, which is crazy to me. The gusseted tongue is nice as well. And then the extra lug traction on the bottom is really solid also. The dual density foam in the midsole is excellent, and the breathability of the upper, but the added protection in certain targeted zones I think is super important as well. Anyways, if you guys are interested in buying them, again, link in the description. It'll take you directly over to New Balance's website. If you guys do use that link over there, buy these or anything else over on New Balance's website, I do get a little bit of a kickback, but it lets New Balance know that you support me in it. And I definitely thank you guys for the constant support. You guys are awesome. Anyway, subscribe for some more content. And if you guys have other shoes, other sneakers that you guys want to see reviews on, leave comments in the comment section. But hopefully you guys have a good rest of the day, and hopefully see you back for some more content. All right, peace guys.